Hi students, this is Deepak Pokhriyal and today we are going to study the second lesson for class 12 English students. The name of the lesson is Lost Springs, written by Anis Jung. So before we start the lesson, let us go through its theme. Now, the theme of this lesson is the poor children. Actually, there are two stories in this lesson. In this video, we are going to discuss the first story, and the theme of both the stories is the spring of the children. Spring here means the childhood of these children and how it is lost or stolen by the harsh conditions of the harsh realities of life. So, spring is the season of bloom. Spring is a metaphor of childhood and is associated with every child at the beginning of a bright future. Childhood is associated with innocence, physical stamina, and vitality. It is also the stage for gaining skill, knowledge, learning, and going to school. So obviously, these children in this story, the two stories, they do not have this spring in their life. Lost Spring by Anis Jung is description of those poor children who are condemned to poverty and a life of exploitation. The two protagonists of the chapter, Sahibe Alam and Mukesh, lose their childhood while carrying the burden of poverty and illiteracy. In their bleak stories of exploitation, the author finds glimpses of resilience and hope. Now, this is another important aspect of this chapter that though there is utter darkness, the future is dark, there is not much hope of their doing good in their lives, but still Anis Jung is not totally pessimist and she finds these glimpses, these um, this silver lining. So let us start the chapter. So before we start the chapter, a little bit about Anis Jung. Her parents were both writers, and she has authored several books, and she has also written for newspapers. And she educated in Hyderabad and she stayed in America. And this is an excerpt taken from her book, which is titled Lost Spring Stories of Stolen Childhood. So, these two stories we have taken from this book. And definitely, through these stories, she is condemning um, this situation which we have created where these children's spring or these children's childhood is stolen away from them. So, let us start the story. The title of this particular story is Sometimes I Find a Rupee in the Garbage. So, before we start reading this story, I want my students to imagine those rag pickers and especially the children. If they have ever seen any rag picker searching something in the garbage, so just take those rag pickers and especially the children in their mind and they will be able to connect themselves more with this story and while reading the story do have some sympathy for these people. Why do you do this? I asked Sahib, whom I encounter every morning scrounging for gold in the garbage dumps of my neighborhood. Now, gold here does not mean the actual gold. Gold means anything of value. So these children, they are searching in the garbage anything of value because that is their life. That is how they earn their livelihood. So this is metaphor here. searching for gold. Sahib left his home long ago, set amid the green fields of Dhaka. His home is not even a distant memory. So these are the people, those who migrated from Dhaka, and he does not even remember his home. This has become his home. He lives in the periphery of our national capital, Delhi. There were many storms that swept away their fields and homes. His mother tells him that is why they left, looking for gold in the big city where he now lives. Looking for gold. Here, gold uh, refers to the livelihood they earn by picking garbage. I have nothing else to do, he mutters, looking away. Now, see here, looking away. When we have confidence, when we are proud of what we are saying, we look in the eyes of the person we are talking to. But here, Sahib is looking away as he says this. I have nothing else to do. It means somewhere he's embarrassed with the kind of life he's living, or shy. Go to school, I say glibly, realizing immediately how hollow the advice must sound. See, this is another aspect Anish Jung is putting before us, that whenever we make promises, and especially when we make promises to these poor children, we really don't mean it. And she knew that she was not going to uh, mean what she's saying. That is why she immediately realized how hollow the advice must sound. That was not a good advice for Sahib, definitely. But see, Sahib is interested. There is no school in my neighborhood. When they build one, I'll go. He's interested in going to school. He wants to change his life. There is that hope, the silver lining I was talking about. And this is that. If I start a school, will you come? I asked, half joking. Definitely, it was a joke, because starting a school is not that easy. And she is again, I'm talking about that, those promises we make. And it is easy to make a promise uh, to these people, those who are deprived of the basic amenities of life, those who do not know, um, those who do not have any rights, the rights normally which all of us enjoy. Yes, he says, smiling broadly. A few days later, I see him running up to me. Is your school ready? This is naive. Okay. Naive, naive. Naive is a person who very easily believes on others. So this child is a naive, and like a naive, he comes and asks the writer, is your school ready? It takes longer to build a school, I say, embarrassed at having made a promise that was not meant. But promises like mine around in every corner of his bleak world. Bleak world here refers to the world which does not assure them any hope. So, in his bleak world, people make many promises like the one just made to Sahib about the school. After months of knowing him, I ask him his name. Sahib-e-Alam, he announces. He does not know what it means. If he knew its meaning, Lord of the universe, he would have a hard time believing it. Now, this is an irony. He has a name, a very good name, that means Lord of the universe. And he is the Lord of the garbage. So that is the irony. Irony is a figure of speech. Unaware of what his Unaware of what his name represents, he roams the streets with his friends, an army of barefoot boys who appear like the morning birds and disappear at noon. Over the months, I have come to recognize each of them. So, she has compared these barefoot boys, the barefoot rag pickers, with the birds. So here we come across another figure of speech, that is simile, where we are comparing the two things. Here boys are compared with the birds. Why aren't you wearing chappals? I ask one. My mother did not bring them down from the shelf, he answers simply. Now, many of you would laugh. Do we keep our chappals? Do we keep our shoes in a shelf? So, even if she did, he will throw them off. Adds another who is wearing shoes that do not match. When I comment on it, he shuffles his feet and says nothing. I want shoes, says a third boy who had never owned a pair all his life. See, many of us, those who are financially in a very good state, we ask for the things like chocolates, like good food, like good clothes, restaurants. But these poor children, they are asking for chappals, they are asking for shoes because they don't have these things in their life. It is like a luxury for them. Traveling across the country, I have seen children walking barefoot in cities on village roads. It is not lack of money, but a tradition to stay barefoot is one explanation. So these people, they are giving an excuse for not wearing footwear, not wearing chappals or shoes. They're saying it is our tradition to remain barefoot. But that's not the reality. Then what is the reality? I wonder, I wonder if this is only an excuse to explain away a perpetual state of poverty. So here is the answer. The answer is the perpetual state of poverty. Perpetual state of poverty. Perpetual state of poverty means a continuous uh, poverty. It means their parents were poor, they are poor, and their next generation is also going to be poor. Perpetual state of poverty, and this poverty is the correct reason for their not wearing any chappals or shoes. I remember a story of a man from Udupi once told me as a young boy he would go to school past an old temple where his father was a priest. He would stop briefly at the temple and pray for a pair of shoes. Another child at another part of the country, son of a priest, praying for a pair of shoes. He would stop briefly. 30 years later, I visited his town and the temple, which was now drowned in an air of desolation. Desolation means it is now broken, its remains are there, not in a good condition. In the backyard where lived the new priest, there were red and white plastic chairs. A young boy dressed in a grey uniform, wearing socks and shoes, arrived panting and threw his bag on a folding bed. Looking at the boy, I remembered the prayer another boy had made to the goddess when he had finally got a pair of shoes. Let me never lose them. So the writer is talking about another boy and his condition has changed. Not his condition. Now he must have grown up, but another boy in the uh, same family, same society, but he has got the shoes. And when he got the shoes, he's praying, let me never lose them. The goddess had granted his prayer. Young boys like the son of the priest now wore shoes, but many others, like the rag pickers in my neighborhood, remained shoeless. So, some children's life has changed, but some children's life is still the same. They still don't have shoes, they walk around bare feet. My acquaintance with the barefoot rag pickers leads me to Simapuri, a place on the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Now, this is very important here. On the periphery of Delhi, yet miles away from it metaphorically. Those who live here are, sorry, this means the writer is talking about comparing the people, those who are living in Delhi and those who are living very close to Delhi at Simapuri. Now, people, those who are living in Delhi, they have all the facilities, they have all the basic amenities in their life. like education, health. But those who are living in Simapuri, they are devoid of all these facilities. That is why they are called miles away from Delhi. Those who live here are squatters who came from Bangladesh back in 1971. Sahib's family is among them. Simapuri was then a wilderness. It still is, but is no longer empty. In structures of mud with roofs of tin and tarpaulin, devoid of sewage, drainage, or running water, live 10,000 rag pickers. So all these rag pickers, they are the squatters, those who pitched their tents here because they found this place empty, and they all have come from Bangladesh. They are 10,000 number, a big number. They have lived here for more than 30 years without an identity, without permits, but with ration cards that get their names on voters list and enable them to buy grain. Now see, they are not worrying about their identity. They do not have any other identity proof. This ration card also they got because with the help of some politicians to get their names on the voters list so that they can cast their votes, and these politicians, they can come in power. That is what politicians care for, and they also do not care for more than the food they get because of those ration cards. Food is more important for survival than an identity. If at the end of the day we can feed our families and go to bed without an aching stomach, we would rather live here than in the fields that gave us no grain. Say a group of women in tattered saris. When I asked them why they left their beautiful land and green fields and rivers. So see, they don't want to go back to their home. they don't go to they don't want to go back to their fields because their fields do not give them much grain, enough grain to fill their stomach, and that is why they live here. Wherever they find food, they pitch their tents that become transit homes. Children grow up in them, becoming becoming parents in survival. And survival in Simapuri means rag picking. Though the years, through the years, it had acquired the proposition of a fine art. So rag picking now has become their family business. Rag picking is like a fine art for them, a skill which people acquire for survival in this world. Garbage to them is gold. It is their daily bread, a roof over their heads, even if it is a leaking roof. It means even if this rag picking doesn't earn them enough money to get all the basic amenities of life, but still it is something. It is the means of their survival. But for a child, it is even more. Now, children, because they are imaginative, they are not thinking about rag picking as their parents. Their parents think rag picking is only a means of survival, but these children, they think it is more. I sometimes find a rupee, even a 10 rupee note, Sahib says, his eyes lighting up. When you can find a silver coin in a heap of garbage, you don't stop scrounging. You don't stop looking because you are very excited. It seems that for children, garbage has a meaning different from what it means to their parents. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. So imagine that you get a gift and it is wrapped in a beautiful gift wrapper, and you're very excited to open and see what it is in there for you. Similarly, these children, they think about garbage. When they see a garbage heap, they are very excited to see what they can find in it. So that is why Children's imagination helped them think about this garbage differently. One winter morning, I see Sahib standing by the fenced gate of the neighborhood club, watching two young men dressed in white playing tennis. I like the game, he hums, content to watch it standing behind the fence. He is content. He does not want to go in and play because he knows that tennis playing is out of his reach. He is content to see it from outside. So there we see that there is a limit in his imagination, there is a limit in his desires, there is a limit in his dream. And this is only symbolic. When we talk about Sahib, we talk about other children also who are like Sahib, poverty stricken children. I go inside when no one is around, he admits. The gatekeeper lets me use the swing. So, see, the one who has nothing, if he's getting even something, he's happy with that, content with that. He's happy that sometimes he is allowed to go in and use the swing. Sahib too is wearing tennis shoes that look strange over his discolored shirt and shorts. Someone gave them to me, he says in the manner of an explanation. The fact that they are discarded shoes of some rich boy who perhaps refused to wear them because of a hole in one of them does not bother him. So this is how he got his shoes, tennis shoes. These are discarded shoes of some rich boy because of a hole in one of them. Sahib got them and he is happy. And the shoes do not harmonize with the clothes, the tattered shirt and shorts he is wearing. It looks very odd. For one who has walked barefoot, even shoes with a hole is a dream come true. But the game he is watching so intently is out of his reach. So he got the shoes, but in the same manner he can never get hold of one of those tennis rackets. That is out of his reach. He is not even thinking about them. This morning Sahib is on his way to the milk booth. In his hand is a steel canister. I now work in a tea stall down the road, he says, pointing in a direction. I am paid 800 rupees and all my meals. Does he like the job, I ask. His face, I see, has lost the carefree look. The steel canister seems heavier than the plastic bag he would carry so lightly over his shoulder. The bag was his. The canister belongs to the man who owns the tea shop. Sahib is no longer his own master. So one might say that he has progressed in his life. From a rag picker, he has become an employee in one of the tea shops. But for Sahib, things are not like that. And perhaps he is missing the time when he was his own master. He was at the tea shop. Now he was a rag picker, sorry. Now the comprehension parts. The best way to check your comprehension, the understanding of the chapter, through questions and answers. So first, short answer questions which you will answer in 30-40 words. So there are 7 short answer questions I have chosen for you, thinking that it would cover the entire chapter, and 2 long answer questions. So first, the short answer questions. What could be some of the reasons for the migration of people from villages to cities? Now, referring to the chapter, you can say the natural calamities is one of the reasons why people migrate from villages to cities. Like in this chapter, these migrants are from Dhaka, and the reason for this migration is the continuous flood. Another reason can be the jobs. They do not have job opportunities at the villages, so that is why they come to the cities. And they compromise with the kind of life they are living. Definitely, they are living um, better life in the villages in terms of having a house, in terms of getting enough food, and in cities they definitely struggle. Describe Simapuri. So you have to describe Simapuri, the condition they live in, the kind of houses they live in, the kind of work they do there. Now, third question, what is the meaning of Sahib's full name? What does he do the whole day? So you have to talk about that irony which is there in his name. His name suggests that he is the Lord of the universe, and the life he lives, that suggests something else. You have to mention what it is. The life of a rag picker. Now the fourth question, describe the importance of garbage in the life of the residents of Simapuri. So you have to talk about the importance of garbage in parents' eyes and for these children. So definitely they look at the garbage differently. So you have to mention that here. Where does the author find Sahib one winter morning? What does a dream come true for him? So here you have to refer to that club where people play tennis, and outside the fence, from outside the fence, Sahib watched them playing. And what does a dream come true for him? Those tennis shoes which he got uh, with a hole in one of them, but that is a dream come true for Sahib. So you have to write it in this answer. What explanations does the author offer for the children not wearing footwear? So two things author said. One explanation was that it is their tradition not to wear any shoes and walk bare feet. But that is only an excuse. The real reason is the perpetual state of poverty. I told you the meaning of perpetual, continuous state of poverty. Because they can't afford buying shoes, that is why they don't wear it. Is Sahib happy working at the tea stall? Explain. Definitely not. In the last paragraph of the chapter, it is said that Sahib is no longer his own master, and he finds that canister he is carrying in his hand heavier than the rack picking sack, sorry. So that you have to write here. Now, the long answer questions, you will write that in 150 words. So two questions I have chosen for you. For the children, it is wrapped in wonder. For the elders, it is a means of survival. What kind of life do the rag pickers of Simapuri lead? So you have to tell about the kind of life they are living. Definitely, they are living a very bad quality life. They do not have enough money to get them to buy them the basic amenities of life. Their whole day is a struggle to get something to put in their belly, and um, they are living in huts. They do not have sewage, they do not have electricity, they do not have education, they do not have health. And those ration cards they got, and they are happy with it, and these ration cards are provided to them by the politicians so that they can cast their votes and put them in power. So all that you have to write in detail, and you have to write what children think about their life, rag picking, um, life of rag pickers, what elders think, all that in detail you have to write. Now, second question, most of us do not raise our voice against injustice in our society. Anish Chung, in her story Lost Spring, vividly highlights the miserable life of street children and bangle makers of Firozabad. What values do we need to inculcate among the people to bring back the spring in the lives of these children? So, bangle makers of Firozabad. This story we'll discuss in the second video. But still you can answer this question. This question uh, allows you to go out of the box, go out of this story, look into your society, look around yourself, and see the children like Sahib Alam around you, and see what what we can do, what values we can inculcate among people to bring a difference in their life, to make their life better. So this answer also you have to write in 150 words. But do read the text once more before you start answering these questions. Thank you very much. That's all in this video. The second story we will discuss in the second video. Thank you.